Welcome to The Success Space. In this video, we will be discussing the idea that you are a positive force in change. We are excited to have Eileen Rogers and Nick Van Dam join us as guest speakers to explore this important topic. As individuals, we all have the power to make a difference in the world around us. By embracing our own unique strengths and abilities, we can work towards creating positive change in our communities and beyond. So join us as we dive into this important topic and discover the ways in which we can all be the success face in creating positive change. Make positivity a routine to improve your health, flexibility, and resilience. Mindfulness helps you appreciate the beauty of the moment and clears the mind. What motivates people and how leaders should manage their employees are revealed by neuroscience. To make better decisions, good leaders use social and emotional intelligence. One cannot excel at everything. Individual abilities can be discovered through strengths assessments. Give people work that reflects their strengths to increase employee engagement. Opportunities for flow or immersive fulfillment derived from stimulating work should be created by organizations. All transactions become more complicated, fragile, and costly without trust. A negative deficit strategy is created when management is focused on solving problems. When leaders foster a climate of optimism and trust, employees produce their best work. To broaden the meaning of work and make it more fulfilling for their employees, leaders can use insights from neuroscience and psychology. To stop demotivation from ruining their workforce, leaders need to be adaptable, optimistic, and understanding. Fear and disruption can be avoided by leaders if they talk about change in an open, positive, and inclusive way. They should use their moments of leadership for the benefit of both their company and society. In the 21st century, businesses must act differently. The terms, not just for profit, and ethical capitalism, are now included in cutting-edge management. Each human has an exceptional potential to embrace life, to contribute esteem and to have an effect. Old management strategies based on command and control are being rapidly dismantled by modern cognitive science. Organizational theorist Richard Boyatzis says that leaders tend to be dissonant or resonant. Dissonant and top-down, rigid leadership of the old-style modern leadership that is empathetic and consultative resonates. Resonant leadership relies heavily on emotional intelligence. Good leaders are aware that the 20th century hierarchical work structures cannot last. Smart leaders give their employees a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose in light of recent discoveries about what really drives people. What your brain is doing even as an adult, your brain continues to be remarkably plastic. You can learn new skills at any time in your life. Learning is made possible by the brain's neuroplasticity. For instance, you can learn to approach change positively even if you have a negative tendency in the past. You and those you lead can break out of the damaging mental rigidity brought on by negative feedback loops by utilizing mindfulness training and its methods. No matter what position or title they hold in the organization, everyone has moments of leadership. The brain automatically perceives a change issue as a challenge or obstacle whenever it arises. Because change can seem scary, the brain tends to be negative. Evolutionarily, change frequently entailed actual risk. Big change is not risk-free, easy, or painless. Because a person's level of optimism or pessimism regarding change is genetically determined, it may require self-discipline to approach change with a positive mindset. Everyone draws inferences and explains difficult topics to themselves. Confident people go after an alternate style of clarification than doubters. That their troubles are transient, controllable, and specific to that one situation, is how optimists deal with negative circumstances. Pessimists typically view failures as signs of underlying personal weaknesses. The optimist believes that failures are fleeting and insignificant. Analyst Martin Seligman, creator of Real Satisfaction, features the way hopeful people's logical style contributes emphatically to their well-being and achievement, taking note of that cynical styles have areas of strength for similarly relationships. Positive self-examination results in positive thinking and action. This positive feedback loop can be utilized by both individuals and organizations to improve their resilience in the face of adversity. Mindfulness: when you multitask, your brain can't focus on one thing at a time, and stress indicators like cortisol production in the brain go up. When your mind is anxious and jumbled, it's nearly impossible to focus and feel engaged, despite the fact that you need to. If you are not present in the moment, you cannot fully appreciate the world's abundant but fleeting beauty. Mindfulness training helps you focus on the here and now, reduces stress, and lessens the mind's propensity to wander aimlessly between past and future ideas. Every aspect of your company, the people, the products they produce, and the corporate culture, will be permeated by the foundation of trust. The modern era is characterized by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, VUCA, as stated by the U.S. Military Academy. Given this, it should come as no surprise that people spend so much time in fight or flight mode, with the amygdala, also known as the fear center, in overdrive. Care can lessen this self-harming perspective. People leave their bosses when they join companies. The neural study of how emotions work, known as affective neuroscience, reveals that the fast-acting amygdala in the brain can hijack your emotions when you are upset. When something makes you angry or tense, take cognitive steps like counting to 10 to avoid reacting. Emotional turbulence can impair your judgment, resulting in poor decision-making. Be aware that a stressed-out state can affect the entire organization. We can practice positive thinking frequently enough to become our unconscious competence and support our positive perceptions by recognizing our own habitual neural pathways. People have multiple intelligences, including social intelligence and emotional intelligence, according to psychologist and author Howard Gardner. A shared sense of personal value is created when leaders demonstrate genuine emotional intelligence and comprehend their staff members as individuals. Ask the people you manage openly and with empathy to learn what drives them. Core and hidden strengths synaptic pruning begins in the brain when a person is about 3 years old. While the networks of neurons that you use the most survive through adolescence and into adulthood to form your core skills, little-used neurons eventually die out. The idiom that you can be perfect at anything you put your energy into is defective on the grounds that everybody loses a portion of that youth's mental adaptability. Your center abilities rule. However, as an adult, you can still use neuroplasticity to create new neural networks and acquire new skills, strengths, and values. Stand straight and smile. This change already sends neurochemicals that actually make you happy to your brain. There are obvious personal strengths, some are concealed. For your organization to accomplish its maximum capacity, you really want to draw upon every one of the qualities your labor force offers. People are assisted in identifying signature strengths that could otherwise go untapped by assessment tools like the Gallup Strengths Finder and the CAP Realize 2. Recognizing such capacities isn't tied in with taking advantage of them to support investor returns. It's about making employees more engaged and happy in their jobs. People need to know what they enjoy doing and what they are good at. When they distinguish their assets, they can work with their chiefs to shape sets of responsibilities that the two players esteem. The company also benefits from this because it prevents disruptive staff turnover and costly disengagement. Nurturing flow. Flow is the state of being completely absorbed in an enjoyable activity. You are so on top of your assignment that you forget about time. The lack of flow is caused by the excessive number of meaningless tasks that employers assign to employees. Some CEOs, like Campbell's Soup's Douglas Conant, are aware that employees are increasingly looking for meaning in their work so they can fully engage with it. They require a task. For instance, Conant involved Campbell's workers in achieving ambitious goals to make the company more environmentally friendly. As a result, the company significantly reduced its use of water and emissions of greenhouse gases. Appreciative inquiry rewires the enterprise's brain from a fixed to a growth mindset, according to the author. Engagement involves two parties. From the top down, corporations cannot cultivate a sense of community. Employers should be aware enough to assist employees in finding flow in their work. Employees have a responsibility to do so. Absence of business mindfulness fills, quit and remain, workers who cost large chunk of change yet contribute little heart. A job can only become a calling if employees feel energized and stimulated in it. Every employee can find their calling with the help of a thoughtful employer. The relationship between risk and trust in a VUCA world. Trust may appear to be rare, but businesses need it to function effectively. Without a culture of trust, all interactions are more expensive, complicated, and time-consuming. People want to do business with organizations that they can trust. However, trust isn't always solid. When you put your faith in others, you take the chance that they might disappoint you. When you put your faith in a company, you take on the same risk. To avoid creating the kind of suspicion or risk that damages relationships, a company or individual must continue to earn trust. When they trust their employees, partners, and customers, businesses also take a calculated risk, but the trust dividend pays off in the long run. Strong businesses embed honesty and ethics into their infrastructure for a variety of reasons, including the fact that high trust makes business sense. Your brain releases neurotransmitters like oxytocin when you feel trust. Having somebody respond to your trust unites related brain associations, making you bound to believe that individual once more. Trust is a calculated risk. A leap of emotional commitment supported by data, but it is still a risk. The best place to begin a trusting relationship is with oneself, as trust is also a feedback loop that must begin somewhere. Separate between metacognition, pondering and figuring out your own contemplations, and rumination, and that implies agonizing or fixating. The two cycles cause primary change in the mind, however go for the goal, not stressing. Esteeming cooperation and creative mind. Numerous hierarchical change adventures fizzle. Participate fully in the change process to help your initiative succeed. Engage them positively by employing appreciative inquiry and appreciative coaching to allay their fears that change implies instability. A deficit strategy, based on fixing perceived flaws, is the traditional business school approach to dealing with corporate issues. Despite the fact that people do not respond well to negativity, this strategy frequently involves criticizing employees. A coaching mindset is necessary for these agile organizations. To get the best out of your employees, incorporate coaching into your culture. Progressive leaders value and encourage lifelong learning by constantly listening and asking questions. They don't just give employees access to information. As the executive's master Peter Drucker says, they take on the most squeezing task to show individuals how to learn. Optimism is derived from the Latin word optimus, which means the best, the superlative of good. Basically, it's the tendency to be optimistic about the future. Appreciative coaching helps people connect to their values and use their neuroplastic capacity to find work-related joy. It can take many different forms, but its primary goal is to help people connect to their values. Employees are increasingly seeking genuine collaboration. Marshall Goldsmith, a business coach, believes that feedback doesn't work because people find it to be negative and unidirectional. His type of thankful training is the feed-forward method, where an individual picks an objective, then straightforwardly and gratefully looks for counsel about how to accomplish it. Another type of appreciative coaching, the Best Reflected Self method by Coach Robert Quinn, takes a similar approach. It creates a self-portrait of a person at their best by asking open-ended questions. Action plans emerge from both exercises. Flourishing. Now, employees are gaining a fresh understanding of motivation as leaders look for ways to give work meaning. This presents a significant obstacle for businesses and entire nations accustomed to command and control. New forms of statistical analysis, such as Gallup's Global Wellbeing Poll, which evaluates the thriving, struggling, or suffering status of 150 countries, should be looked to by leaders who want to improve their understanding of well-being. Leaders who are familiar with mindfulness, positive psychology, and neuroscience have an advantage. Individuals need to thrive and be cheerful. Emotional change is hard. It has the ability to sound alarms. However, positive change can be motivating if its risks are mitigated and people are encouraged to fully participate. Your feedback is important to us. If you have any thoughts or opinions on the video, we would love to hear them in the comments. We send you thousands of blessings, much success, and much happiness for you and your entire family.